All right, final feelings for Georgia's game with Kent State. This game is not going to be competitive. I think we all know that. I think the curious thing that we're trying to see here is, can Georgia get in and out of this game without any injuries? Can they continue to look crisp? They looked extremely crisp in I would say, of the 12 quarters they've played, they looked crisp, in nine of them. I don't think they looked, and most of the time that they didn't was against Samford. So there's some improvement to be had there, that's for sure. Make sure you're picking up DAWGSTRUCTION today. The link is in the bio below. 80 pages of our coverage of the national championship run from the Dogs in 2021. It's a great way to support the site. It's a great way to make these videos free. Nonetheless, I just, you know, this Kent State team, Kirby was talking about it earlier this week about how, um, they're going to be challenging and, the usual coach speak. It's kind of hard to take that seriously completely if you're playing as well um, as Kirby and those guys are. But, uh, you know, this is a game. Um, This is a game when this is Kent State. It was a game. Kirby played against Kent State in '98 in his final season at Georgia. At the beginning, he said uh, we did some off-season study on these guys, and they have a unique offense, which I think is good for Georgia, by the way. And actually a really unique defense, which I believe is a 3-3-5. Um, he says they do a tremendous job. They played a really tough schedule. He's right about that. I mean, the fact that they played UW as well as OU, those are two legitimate teams. I mean, obviously Washington is not a playoff contender. Oklahoma could be. We'll see. But that OU game, Kent State really got outclassed in the second half of the game. They were really in a fight with OU at the beginning of the game, going into the half 7-3. And if something like that happens um, on Saturday, there's a problem. There's a problem, and you know you you can't. It's not working if you're struggling with Kent State. Like that's not good enough. And in that game, uh, Kent State, I mean, it was kind of a punt fest, frankly. The first drive for Oklahoma, well, the first drive for Kent State's a punt, then OU, it's three and out, and then Kent State drives it a little bit and punts. OU 4 plays and punts. Kent State plays and punts. OU 4 plays. Seven plays for 4 yards. And then Kent State goes 15 plays and kicks a field goal, and then another punt from OU, and then a mixed field goal from Kent State. I mean, the game could have been 7-6 at the half, but then Oklahoma came out, 17 straight points off. Well, actually 24 off their first 4 possessions in the second half, and obviously the game was over at that point. Georgia will probably explode on Kent State, but there are plenty of things to kind of watch here. You want to continue to see Georgia's crispness. The way that they just marched up and down the field against South Carolina was something to behold. Um, you need to continue that if you're the Georgia Bulldogs, because it's not about who you play. It's how you play. How crisp are you? Um, what what do you look like? Are you achieving your goals? Brock Bowers a week ago, 3 touchdowns, one running, two passing, two receiving. They should smash these guys. Here's another rant from Kirby, if you want to call it that. He says they've got a quarterback that I didn't know a lot about, who is number one, a tremendous athlete. Number two, makes a lot of people miss. He's dynamic with the ball in his hands. He makes some wild throws. You're going to hear about this guy. He had some 60, 70-yard passes that are incredible. They have some really good wideouts. They're a talented team. You go watch them on defense. Again, now we're talking about a kind of a weird defense. He says they do enough defensive different defensively that can create issues for you because it's not what you see every day. It's a little more new age defense. People were playing to affect teams that are on the perimeter more, second level filters, excuse me, able to disguise a little more. Um, I know you guys don't listen. I know you guys don't ever listen. Here go with the you guys thing. Why doesn't Kirby say y'all? Like, it really seems like when he says you guys, that's even worse because, you know, Southerners, which Kirby certainly is, would say y'all in this case, and he's saying you guys when he's talking to the guys on the beat. Anyway, it's so funny when he gets kind of riled up about lecturing the media. I know you guys don't ever listen to anything we say in here. But this is a really good football team, and they have played two really good football teams. They definitely have played two good teams. There's no question about that. And you watch the first half of the Oklahoma game, you have no question how good they are. They really played Washington well outside of a couple of drives. Washington scored on them, but outside of that, they went toe to toe with Washington. I watched more of the UW game with Kent State. Saw that live actually, or on replay. I can't quite remember. But the Japanese are totally taking it to the Americans in soccer. We got some issues to deal with as we get ready for the World Cup. I mean, this U.S. men's national team should really be pretty good. They're fortunate to play at least one more friendly because today has been just not impressive at all. Um, I know Christian Pulisic's not out there, but like this is a B team effort. It also looks I don't know where they're playing this game, but it looks like they're playing it on the soggiest field I've ever seen in my entire life when it's not actually raining. But anyway, so that's going to have to be improved. But Kirby with the you guys stuff. When you watch them play UW, talking about Kent State, they did play well in that game, and they kind of traded touchdowns with Washington at times, but then UW just kind of pushed away from them too much, and it was too much to handle. Now they got out 21-7 in the first quarter, but back-to-back touchdowns, and then Kent State scored, and then they got up 28-10, but Kent State didn't stop scoring. So I don't know if that's you know a UW thing or what, but um, you know, they allowed far too. I mean, Georgia could really score a pile of points this week. I mean, when you look at Kent State and how many points they allowed against Washington specifically, that's just not going to work. But this is their final game before the MAC starts. I'm not one of these folks that kind of I don't know what's going to go on in the MAC, and I don't care. All I know is Georgia should absolutely dominate Kent State, and I anticipate they will. But it is the way you look. I'm criticizing the men's national team. This score is irrelevant. They're losing right now to Japan 2-0. The score is irrelevant. They've not played well. And on Saturday, this was such a big thing in basketball. We played double and a little bit more games in a season than football ever did. And it was hard to play well all the time. For Georgia, it's going to be hard to play well all the time. But you really, if you're trying to be great, if you're trying to recreate this moment, you can't take it easy. You have to be on all the time. Um, I think this game being early might help Georgia a little bit more. They played really well at South Carolina early. Um, but I just I think this is about continuing moving forward in the way that Georgia has been playing, generally speaking, 9 of 12 quarters. I mean, they played well in the quarters against Samford, but they just didn't score the touchdowns. Well, if you see them kicking touchdowns this week, kicking touchdowns would be amazing. Kicking field goals, it is true. This is a whack bird defense. It's very strange. It's not dissimilar from what West Virginia ran in the Sugar Bowl in 2005, so it's certainly different. But I think Georgia should be able to run effectively against Kent State, and we'll just see. But I expect full and utter domination from this Georgia team. Y'all have fun out there on Saturday. If you see me, say hello.